Hey everybody, it is Chris and I hope you're doing amazing today. I am a fan of Bon Jovi. They are amazing, one of the best bands that have ever been around. And if you know Bon Jovi, you know they have a song called It's My Life. And it talks about it's now or never, do or die, basically. And it's your life. No one else can live that journey. No one else knows the road that you walk down. So I want to talk about that today. I want to discuss your unique journey and how only you can live your life. Many of us struggle with this. Many of us struggle with looking at where we came from, our heritage, our past, and our families, our friends, our jobs. And we try to live up to certain standards, which is fine, as long as we are not allowing those standards, those times, those processes to determine who we are as individuals. You are a unique creature created by a higher power than you. There is a God in the universe that custom designed who you are, from the way you look to the way you speak to where you were born, the culture that you grew up in. All of these things are unique to you. Even though you may have lived in a household of siblings or came from a heritage background that is culturally very dominant, your journey, your walk is different than anyone else's. I want to tell you my journey, and maybe it will help you. It'll resonate with who you are. Early on in my marriage, I was working really, really hard. I had multiple jobs, all at the same time trying to go to night school and get my bachelor's degree. I had a little baby, and I could not make ends meet. I was praying to God, help me be the man to my family that I need to be. Help me find my way that is different so that I can be the husband, the father, and the follower that I am called to be as a child of God. Well, one day I finally got what many of us would call a break. I finally had someone who reached out to me through my contacts that I had developed over years, and they said, we got a job for you. And you don't have to work 3 jobs. The intro position will give you the same amount of money as what you're working now, but you're going to have to work hard. And I said, hey, I'm working hard, no problem. I am a hard worker. I can do this. So for about 4 or 5 months, I put my nose to the grindstone and I built a new platform internally for an internal sales position that this company has never had. They were missing a lot of opportunities that I was able to go back and bring back as revenue, as profit for the company that they were missing. Because of this, I got a promotion. I was excited. I finally got back into the field, being able to do sales face to face with customers, no longer just over the phone or over emails. And I was extremely, extremely excited. For about 4 years, I allowed this career to become me. I allowed it to become my identity. And because of that, the things that were the most important to me became secondary. And this secondary thing should have been my priority, should have been my first. But as a man, I looked at myself as the provider, as the one that went out and killed the buffalo to bring it back home and say, look what I did. I wound up working 80 to 100 hours a week. I would get home and I would be working on the couch, on the kitchen table. I didn't go to bed when everyone else did. I got to a point of where the only way that I could fall asleep was to drink, to cause my mind to shut off for 4 hours, 5 hours, just to get up and do it again. And I was doing this 6, 7 days a week. I did not keep the first thing the first thing. My family became secondary. I viewed myself as a provider, as someone who was fulfilling the needs that I thought was needed for my family. But little did I realize I became nothing but more than a paycheck. I no longer was a husband. My wife was basically a single mother. I was home sometimes while I was working from the house, but I did not understand that I was not there for them. And then I just kept praying, Lord, if she could only see what I'm doing, if my daughter is healthy and my wife is getting the money and they can see how hard I'm working, they'll respect it. Not realizing that they needed something more than what I was providing. They needed me. So after years and years, we were able to purchase a home that we wanted. We're able to get out of the little place that we were living. By that time, my son came along, and he was a baby, tiny. He got sick, and after only being a month old, he had to go to the ER. We kept taking him to doctor after doctor, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. While I was working, I wasn't there. Well, finally, we had a young doctor who was in his residency come by one day while my wife was there and had him in the emergency room. And he's diagnosed what was wrong with him. And the other senior doctor said there was no way, that's what it is. Well, they did some tests, found out that's what it was. As a husband, I should have stopped everything. As a father, I should have stopped everything and been there. But because I did not make the first thing the first thing, the most important thing in my life, I failed. I failed as a husband. I failed as a father. Well, my boy wound up staying in the emergency room for about a month. They told my wife to go home, that he's not going to make it. We'll call you if anything changes. And she refused to leave his side. Well, I did not do what I needed to do. I did what I thought was the right thing. I'm going to continue to supply income. I'm going to continue to work. My work needs me. I need to be there to do these things. And little did I know, I was separating myself from my tribe. I was leaving what should have been important behind for my own selfish desires. So, great news, my boy got out. He became healthy, started growing. After about a year, I was out. It was probably 11 o'clock at night, and I was working out about an hour and a half away from the house. Closing a deal, selling what I needed to sell to continue to put food on the table, continue to put a roof over my family's head and clothes on their back. I thought I was fulfilling my duties, and little did I realize that my wife was at her breaking point. We had multiple conversations of I'm not happy, and I would do the husband thing. Well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I would become defensive, and I'm giving you everything I can. But I was not giving her what she needed, what they needed. I was not providing that. So that evening, she called me, and she said, I'm packing up. I'm leaving. If you're not home in 30 minutes, I'm gone. I did not know how I was going to make it. I don't remember the drive home. All I remember is I was flying down the freeway. I walked in the front door and I called her right as she was getting ready to walk out. And I was in tears, begging her to just give me one more chance. And she said, "What's going to change?" I said, "I quit on the way home. I called my boss. I told him I quit. I'll drop off everything tomorrow. I'm here." I didn't know how I was going to provide for my family because my identity became my career. My identity was that thing of providing a paycheck. Um, so, by the grace of God, I was able to find another job relatively quickly. Um, we did not miss any paychecks or anything. But I realized at that moment I needed to be more. I needed to be a better man. And I'd love to be able to say that overnight it happened. That we woke up at 8 a.m. and the birds were chirping, and I was the husband and I was the father that I needed to be.
Pardon the interruption, but amazing news. Right now on Amazon, you can purchase The Sales Mindset and Unleash Your Potential, written by yours truly, both available in English and in Spanish. Links are in the descriptions below.
Well, I wasn't. I woke up depressed. I woke up falling apart. I woke up the same person I went to bed as. And that moment, my wife came to me and said, "You need to fix what's in here. You need to fix what's inside of you and make your priorities in a different order." At that time, I did not fully understand the scope of what needed to happen. That moment, though, was the start of my journey of growth. On my new job, I was able to be home. I was able to sit down and eat dinner with my kids, with my wife. Money was a lot less. It was about 50% or more of what I was making. But we were happy. I was still broken. I was still not feeling that I was fulfilled, even though I had the wonderful family. I had the job that allowed me to be dad and husband. We had everything we needed. But I still felt something was missing. During this time, I finished my degree. I had the late nights. I got the college degree. I had the paper. And I said, now I can be the husband. Now I can be the man that I need to be. But once again, nothing changed. I was still not putting things in the right order. I was still failing as what I saw myself as a man. And this is a hard thing for men. And maybe this resonates with you. That being vulnerable, that being this different thing than what we believe we were built to be does not fulfill us. So my wife started down this journey of growth, of change, of her mindset. She got a new job. They sent her away for a month for training, and it was boot camp. She came back as a totally different person. And I said, "Who are you? What happened? Did they brainwash you?" And I expect her to say, "No, no, I had some training and I changed my mindset." No, she goes, "Yes, they brainwashed me. They washed out all the negativity. They washed out all the pain of trauma. And I want you to do the same thing." And I said, "Oh, that's mumbo jumbo. That's woo woo. That's not real. Oh, you'll be back to who you were in a few days." But years went by, and she continued to evolve. She continued to be better. She continued to um, grow as a person. And I caught myself being left behind. I caught myself falling further and further behind of who she was, of what my family needed me to be. So I finally gave up. And I said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm truly willing to change. I started reading books. I started listening to podcasts and videos. I started a mentorship with senior people that helped me. I went back into church. I gave up a lot of my vices that I had. And by doing this, I started to see the wheels slowly turning. And once again, I'd love to say that it happened immediately, but it was a long, painful journey that I went through. And as I said, she had a head start. So I leaned on her and I became vulnerable and I became open. And she became my guiding light when I felt like I couldn't go any further. And I'd love to be able to say that it was easy. There were times that I had to face demons within myself and within who I believe that I was meant to be, and it hurt. I remember one night laying in bed, not being able to sleep, but just dealing with it and praying to God and saying, why isn't this happening? Why? I'm doing all the things. I'm checking all the boxes, but nothing is changing. Why? And I prayed for what seemed like hours and hours. And I had a pain. I had a pain, what sounded like a pop in the back of my head. And it scared me. That pain resonated down my neck and through my body. I thought that I had an aneurysm, that something bad was happening, and I just sat there and I waited and I waited. But I believe that that was a physical manifestation of a change. That something broke in me where I realized I had to give everything over to something bigger than myself. And I meant truly, truly letting go of who I thought I needed to be. And through that, I truly started to comprehend some things. And because of that, I was able to step into another position with another company and work myself through that, brought in more revenue, but I was still able to be husband. I was still able to be father. I was still able to grow and become a better man in myself. As I went through this, I caught myself sliding back. And because of the openness and the honesty and the transparency that I was able to build over those few years with my wife, she would come to me and say, hey, you need to pull it back. You need to get back here. Reel it back in. I need A, B, and C. I need you to be A, B, and C for me. And it kept me on that road. It kept me on that path. And through that growth, I was able to reach back to who I used to be and pull some of those things that I learned forward to utilize, to be better, to where I realized that I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. I could spend a few hours with my family doing nothing, playing cards, going on a walk, going on a journey together, a vacation time where we were just being. And because of that, I became liberated of this macho mentality that is pounded into us early on in who we are. It changed what I saw a man should be. I became not just a provider, but I became a helper. I became a helpmate. I became a partner. I became a father. I became a mentor to my children. I became a light into my family. I became a leader in the most important business that I could be, which was my wife and my kids. And through this journey, new ideas and new visions came to me. And that's when the ideas of starting a new career, starting a business. I remember when my wife came to me and said, "Hey, I got an idea," and I said, "Oh, I don't think we could do that as a career," but I stopped myself and I said, "I'll try it. I'll try it." And as I moved forward, I realized that it fulfilled something that was missing, which was me. I was missing me. I lost who I was, that joy, that peace, that understanding that goes beyond any words. I found Chris again. And now the journey has come full circle. I've grown into a better husband, a better man. I've been able to be present. Now, the great thing I've learned through this journey is it never ends. But I was able to make the most important things the first thing in my life. I was able to say, God is my number one, my wife and my kids are my number two. I was able to put growth within myself and better myself, not through a macho, come in, listen to me mentality, but a let me hear you. Let me be what you need me to be because I am who I need to be. I want to tell you something. As men, it is hard for us to be vulnerable because we have to be hard in the world. But I've got some words of wisdom, some things that I have learned through my journey. Be hard outside. Don't stop. Push, fight the battle, kill the buffalo, bring it home. But when you get home, be willing to be open. Be willing to be vulnerable with the one person that will always be there with you. Be willing to look within yourself and let those pains, those demons, those things that we struggle with grow outside, but let them go. Realize that the pain will be there, but use that pain, use that hardship to better who you are. Don't hide it. Don't say it's not there. Don't even try to let it go. Figure out how to take those traumas, those hardships, and convert them into love. You are still a man. You still have that primal instinct of going out and killing the buffalo and bringing it home. But realize when you're home, you're more. You're better. That's your tribe. That's your people. And be there for them. Be there for you. You must be better for you. Don't let society tell you who you need to be. It is your journey. It is your work. There is someone who built you the way that you are. There is a higher power out there, whether you call it God, whether you call it Jesus, you call it Allah, you call it energy, the universe, whatever you call it. It is not a coincidence that you are here right now. In this moment, you are here for a higher and better purpose. Utilize that animal instinct within yourself to protect, to guide, and to provide, but be vulnerable when it comes to your tribe. Be willing to open up. Your partner will be there for you. Don't be afraid. And don't be afraid of allowing yourself to say, I don't know it all. Be together as one. You, the higher power, and your spouse and your family can be one. There's nothing that is stopping you but you. I realized that I was my own worst enemy. Am I perfect now? By no stretch of the imagination. This journey never ends, it continues to move on. When we look at what the goal is, what is a goal? What is the finish line? When we say, I'm going to get to the finish line, what does that truly mean? The only finish line is death. The only finish line in our life is when we're no longer living. So I tell you from personal experience, don't aim at the finish line. Live in the present. Live in those little moments, the laughter, the joy, the pain. Live in that and grow in that. You can be the best man, the best parent, the best spouse out there. Don't give up. You got this. I promise you, you do. Just grow. Work on you. And by working on you, you will work on those around you. It is a ripple effect. When you take a pebble and you throw it in water, it ripples out. So if you figure out what your core is, what your true purpose is, it's not just as a provider, but it is more than that. It is bigger than that. And when you figure that out and you grow that and you see that ripple go out, it will affect your family. It will affect your job. It will affect people around you without you even doing more than just being a better you. You can do anything you set your mind to. The great thing is, whether you believe you can or you can't, you are correct. There is many people out there that are coaching people to be macho, be more, be those things when it's the time to be that. But be vulnerable, be open, and be honest with yourself and with those around you. I hope you have a good one. And until next time.